I gave it to your sister. She's my favorite, and it's my responsibility to secure her future, Dad said, like it was the most logical thing in the world. I stood frozen, staring at the bank app. Just 20 minutes earlier, I had opened my Sberbank account to check the balance. $4.6 million. Money I'd worked for, saved for, invested with care, even as my family mocked me for thinking I was better than them. Now it was gone. Transferred.
Just like that.
And not by accident. He leaned back in the leather armchair like a king who'd handed down a royal decree, completely calm. Don't look so shocked, Holland. You don't even have kids. Your sister has too. This is a family decision. Family decision? I opened my mouth, then closed it. There were no words for what I felt. Rage, betrayal, and something colder than both. Then the doorbell rang. Dad's face drained of color. He looked at me like he suddenly remembered I was far more than just the quiet daughter. I didn't move. He stood up slowly, cautiously. When he opened the door and saw who was standing there, he whispered, "Oh no, not you." The man at the door wore a navy blue suit and held a thin briefcase. His badge gleamed under the porch light. "Mr. Pierce," he asked, calm but firm. "You've been served." My father's hand trembled as he took the envelope. I didn't flinch. I already knew what it was, because I had filed it myself. Hours ago. He tore it open, eyes darting across the page. His mouth twitched as he read aloud in a near whisper. Emergency injunction. Asset freeze, pending investigation, unlawful fund transfer. He looked up at me like a child caught with his hand in the cookie jar. "You," he began, but I held up a hand. "Don't. Not another word." I'd tried to reason with him for years. When he excluded me from investments, I stayed silent. When he mocked my solo apartment, I swallowed it. But draining my account to enrich my sister? That crossed a line money couldn't blur. And now it was my turn to move first. "Hope she enjoys the future you bought her," I said quietly. "Because yours just got very complicated." He sat down hard, the injunction shaking in his hand. And that was just the beginning. By the next morning, my father's accounts were locked. The bank compliance officer confirmed the emergency flag I'd triggered. He wasn't prepared for that. But I was. Every document he forged, I had a copy. Every withdrawal he made under my name, traced and time-stamped. I'd spent years learning how power worked in silence, law school nights, finance workshops on weekends, my own quiet revenge doctorate while they all laughed. My sister called at 8:13 a.m. sharp. "What did you do?" "Dad's panicking. The house is under review, his business is frozen, and he said you're threatening to sue us?" I didn't respond right away.
Just let her speak. Cry. Lie.
"You don't understand, Hole. He was just trying to protect me. We didn't know it was your money," he said. "He said you didn't care about family." Family. That word again. I finally spoke. "I do care about family, which is why I'm giving you 1 week to transfer everything back. Every cent." "What if we don't?" she snapped. I smiled. "Then I stopped playing quiet. And the court sees everything." I ended the call. I didn't need their approval anymore. I had something stronger now, evidence. That afternoon, I walked into my father's office unannounced. The receptionist looked stunned, like she'd seen a ghost. "Does he know you're coming?" she whispered. "No," I replied. "And don't warn him." I pushed open the frosted glass door. He was mid-call, barking orders, red-faced and desperate. The moment he saw me, he froze. "Holland, don't get up," I said, setting down a thick brown envelope on his desk. Inside, full documentation of my trust account, the one he drained, including legal proof that his name had been removed as a trustee 2 years ago. He had no authority, which meant he hadn't just betrayed me, he'd committed fraud. "This isn't just a family issue anymore," I told him. "It's a federal one." His jaw clenched. "You wouldn't." "Already did." The color drained from his face. "I didn't want this," I continued, calmer than I thought I'd be. "But you broke something you don't know how to fix. And for once, you don't get to choose the ending."
He didn't speak. Couldn't.
I walked out. As I stepped into the elevator, I heard him call my name, not as a father, but as a man finally afraid of his daughter. By evening, news of the freeze had reached the board of directors. Dominion Equity, his pride and legacy, was under immediate audit. And the calls started. First from his lawyer, then from his accountant, then from a family friend who once called me invisible at Christmas dinner. Now they all wanted to talk, but I didn't answer. Instead, I drove to my old neighborhood, the one he refused to visit after I bought my first home there. Too modest for his tastes. Too far beneath his ego. I stood outside my front porch, watching the light snowfall coat the empty street, when my phone buzzed. A message from my sister. We didn't mean for it to go this far. Please, just stop. I'll give it back. But it was never just about the money. It was about every time they laughed while I sat in silence. Every time they toasted her success with the money I earned. Every time I was reminded I was less than, even when I was the one holding everything together. I stared at her message, then typed only 2 words. Too late. And finally hit send. The next morning, I walked into the family lawyer's office alone. He looked up from a thick folder labeled Pierce Family Trust. You're early, he said. I'm done waiting, I replied. He gestured to the chair across from him, but I didn't sit. Instead, I placed a notarized affidavit on the table, drafted with my attorney's help, asserting breach of fiduciary duty, misappropriation of assets, and outlining every time-stamped transfer. I'd built the case for months. The lawyer skimmed the pages, then removed his glasses. You realize this could dissolve the entire estate. I know, I said quietly. And I'm ready. Outside, I could hear my sister's voice echoing down the hallway. She sounded panicked. When she saw me, she ran forward. Holland, please. Don't do this. It's Dad. He's sick. He made a mistake. I didn't flinch. He made a choice. So did you. You're destroying everything. I nodded. Sometimes you have to burn the foundation when it's built on lies.
She tried to cry.
Tried to look small. But for once, I didn't fold. Behind her, our father stood, shoulders sunken, lips trembling. And for the first time in his life, he had nothing left to say. By the end of the week, the emergency injunction had been granted. The $4.6 million was frozen. The family trust, suspended pending investigation. And my father's power of attorney was formally revoked by the court. I didn't celebrate. I didn't smile. I just sat in my quiet apartment, sipping tea, watching the snow fall through the window like it had that night on my porch. He'd built his empire on manipulation, on loyalty he never earned. He thought fear would keep me quiet, but I didn't use rage. I used records. I used silence. I used the truth.
My phone buzzed again.
This time, it was my aunt, the only one who ever treated me like I mattered. I'm proud of you, her message read. You didn't just survive them. You dismantled the whole illusion. I sat with those words for a long time, and then I finally exhaled. No more secrets. No more cold family dinners where I pretended their cruelty didn't cut. No more giving while they took. They wanted me to stay invisible. Instead, I took the one thing they feared most. My voice. And with it, I rewrote every rule they thought I'd follow. A week later, I walked into the same banquet hall where they once held my sister's graduation party, the one I wasn't invited to because I never finished anything worth celebrating. But this time, I wasn't there as the forgotten daughter. I was the keynote speaker for a women's leadership gala. When I took the stage, I noticed my mother seated in the back row, pale and trembling. My father wasn't beside her. He was under investigation out on bail, stripped of his financial credentials. My sister was nowhere to be seen. I spoke not about revenge, but about silence, about how we teach daughters to stay quiet, to keep the peace, to shrink, to disappear, and how some of us grow up believing invisibility is survival. I told them how I stopped shrinking. When I finished, the entire room stood. But I didn't look at the applause. I looked at my mother, the woman who once told me I wasn't built for anything big. And I watched her cry. I walked off stage, calm, composed, whole. And in that moment I realized, they didn't break me. They built the woman who did this.